Now in its 22nd year, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland has truly come of age. When the then Piping Centre started the project in 2003, it was with an eye to developing and motivating the country's best young pipers and drummers through music, not competition. Today, with 3 levels of bands and a total of 88 members, each of whom have to audition each year to gain or retain their spot with the organization, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland continues to serve as a complement to competition. Many of the members over the years have gone on to even greater things, whether through careers in music, leading top bands, or applying their National Youth Pipe Band experience to community-building efforts in their adult lives. The success of the initiative has been noticed and emulated around the world. Similar national, provincial, and state programs have emerged in New Zealand, Australia, and Ontario, and more are sure to come. But even with the support of the National Piping Centre, keeping the Scottish success story strong is an ever-increasing challenge. The arts in Scotland are under constant pressure. Creative Scotland's Youth Music Initiative funding has been a lifeline for the initiative, but it too is under pressure to make cuts. The National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland stages concerts every year. The performances not only showcase the prodigious talent and work of the bands, but they serve to raise vital funds to keep the project going. Almost all of the band's pipers and drummers are also members of competing pipe bands. Perhaps underscoring the point, recently appointed Senior Drumming Instructor Grant Cassidy is leading drummer of Grade 1 Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia. Pipes Drums caught up with the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland's director, Stephen Blake, Grant Cassidy, and piper Ryan McCreadie, who also plays with reigning world champions People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, to discuss the organization and its concert on April 14th in Perth. All right, it's Pipes Drums, and we are really pleased to be here with some people from the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, one of the most thriving organizations in the pipe band world, doing some great things. So we're delighted to have Stephen Blake, who's the director of the band. We've got Grant Cassidy, who's senior drumming instructor with the group, and also Ryan McCreadie, who is a piper with the National Youth Pipe Band. So thanks very much, guys, for taking the time today.
Problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so, you've got a concert coming up in Perth at the Perth Concert Hall. Maybe a little bit about that. Tell us about what's going on.
Absolutely. So Perth Concert Hall, it's one of the largest concert halls in Scotland. And we'll be there on the 14th of April, and we'll have all 3 of our ensembles. And this is the culmination of the annual project. They've all been working really hard on brand new music, and we have new music from our Emerging Composers project, and it all feeds into this completely unique night of music. And I think the thing that's really exciting is, how often do you get to see a pipe band concert of that scale of production? And this year we're particularly spoiled, I think, in Scotland that we've got 2 lined up. But with the National Youth Pipe Band, I just think it's so unique because the program's very eclectic, but almost more important than that, because we were bringing people from across the bands in the country. Every other concert you see in pipe band is one band putting it on, both halves usually, and it's a night to celebrate that, whereas this feels like a night that hopefully celebrates that sort of cross-section of all the players and all the talent in the country.
Good stuff. And, Ryan, you are also a member of the People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia pipe band, so a busy year for you, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Always knew it was going to be a packed year going into it, but yeah, with Celtic Connection just there, and then these next 2 concerts coming up, it's definitely going to be a busy year.
Yeah, for sure. And the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland has traditionally been a non-competing band. Maybe Grant, if you want to talk about that, why is that the approach for the band?
So this is only my first year teaching with Youth Pipe Band, but I was a member previously, like 10 years ago. So I think it's a really good thing because it gives the participants a different insight to music. So at pipe bands, which we all do, and the reason why we're in the Youth Pipe Band or a part of it, we've all done that kind of twice a week band practice. You learn the sets you have to learn, and everybody does what they have to do to make this one amazing sound. The youth band's the same thing, but rather than just being the same 4 sets. You're only coming together once a month, try to do all the work at home, and then when the kids arrive or the participants arrive, they're then learning and meeting other members from other bands. So therefore, socially, it's really good for your career and for your musical, like, terms of what you're trying to achieve. You also learn more different styles of music, playing with backing bands, playing with other instruments. There's a whole kind of list of things that I think it serves really good purpose, as well as the same as a pipe band. So I think they both have good reasons and they both benefit you, but I think you have to be able to do both of them, and I think it's very good for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Noted that the 3 bands, or the entire organization of the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, now up to 88 members of all kinds of age groups. So it must be a great camaraderie that happens there too, with the people playing in the band.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think camaraderie and connecting people from these different bands is a huge aspect of it, but it's also about, I think, being the National Youth Pipe Band in Scotland is a very particular type of privilege, and I think we'd maybe go about it differently in a different territory, but because the competing scene is so healthy, and we're kind of essentially the youth band's building on the shoulders of great local instruction and great regional bands, and so it's really meant to be a sort of a complement to, not an alternative to, the competing circuit, and really try to broaden young people's education and development. But really it's about us getting out of the way and letting them do that themselves, I think. And it's fantastic. I was so impressed that we have annual auditions every year. I was very impressed at Ryan's audition when we asked him what he wanted to get out of the project that year, having freshly won the world, and it really drove home to me that it was great to see. I feel like young people in the bands get the difference now, that sort of complement rather than one or the other. But I guess, Ryan, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the youth band's always been kind of there, and you know about it when you're kind of younger. But coming in, as Grant said, when you're at band, you're learning a few sets, and it's the same stuff over and over again. Whereas walking into the youth band, it's just you're learning a lot more stuff you'd never thought to learn, and you're meeting so many different people that you would never meet before. A lot of my mates in the pipe band world come from the youth band over the past few years, folk that I would never have spoken to otherwise. So as Stephen said, it's a great compliment to just competing, and it just gives you a much wider variety of things to do.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and it is inspiring. Take note of that around the world. A lot of organizations are kind of starting their own sort of national or provincial or state sort of youth organizations. So that's great to see. One thing, the people might not know is that the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland is supported by arts funding. And this is, the concerts are kind of, if I'm not mistaken, kind of a fundraising effort as well. So maybe, Stephen, how are the arts doing and funding in Scotland? Are they under pressure right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the National Youth Pipe Band has been supported for the last 20 years, plus now, we're in our 21st year, through the Youth Music Initiative, which is, YMI is a fantastic component of the funding network in Scotland. Is delivered by Creative Scotland. We've really benefited from that, and it's a great ethos as well. I think Creative Scotland recently described this situation as the perfect storm of financial pressures that don't really seem to be abating anytime soon. Of course, post-COVID and during COVID, there was an enormous amount of pressure on the arts. And what it really boils down to is we're all having to do more with less, including the funding body itself. So, it puts a lot of pressure on. And so we actually provide all of our programs. So we have our ensembles program, and we also have a lot of big outreach events. We've got one coming up in Surrey soon. It's got around 65 young people signed up. We had one in Braemar before that with about 50 people. We provide these free to all. And the only way that we can keep providing all these projects free to all is finding some way to fundraise towards that effort. So it's largely from Creative Scotland. We also rely on the support of some trusts and foundations, but actually, when you have the word national on the front of your project, it's quite hard to get funding sometimes. And so this fundraiser concert at the end of the year is a huge part of supporting the program, and keeping it free for all. And I think it's one of those things that if you come along, you're not only in for a great night of music, you're also there showing that you support the future of pipe band, you support these free projects and this work that we're doing.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a real inspiration, and you know, hopefully it's going to be like the previous concerts, and getting a strong attendance, so people can feel good, extra good about attending, not only hearing great music but contributing to a great cause. We heard through the grapevine there was kind of an interesting thing that happened in Wales recently. Maybe talk about that just briefly.
Yeah, so this will probably be news to you, Ryan. It was in the development band. So we had two young players, Charlie and Thomas, who both went down to watch the rugby in Wales, and they made the journey down to Cardiff completely separately. I think it's like a over 70,000 seater stadium down there, and Charlie got down, and Charlie's a bit of a character, as you know, Grant, from the dev band. And I think he'll leave the pipes. He won't leave the house without his pipes, basically. So we always get stories from Charlie. Anyway, so he's down there. He's got his pipes out the case, ready for before they do the anthems. And the person that sits down in the seat in front of him is Thomas, who he stands next to in the development band. And so Thomas didn't bring pipes, but I think they managed to have a tune, one hand each on the chanter of Charlie's set. So just what are the odds,
Well, that's amazing. That's an example of the camaraderie that comes up with the National Youth Pipe Band, even if you're traveling to a 70,000 seat rugby event. That's terrific. Well, look, looking forward to the concert in Perth. Good luck with that. Good luck with everything. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys, and continued success for the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Yes, thank you, Andrew.
So that's Ryan McCreadie, a piper with the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, Stephen Blake, and Grant Cassidy, both teachers and directors with the band. So look forward to more from the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland coming soon, and watch for their concert.